Hey everyone, here is your last video for the week. I just wanted to make sure I went over at least 2 examples here for you guys and then briefly went over this maze down here below. So just as a reminder, I have your rules up here for your integers, and then we're going to be using the order of operations. So for these first 4 questions right here, it says list the order of operations in importance. So remember, that's just your PEMDAS. So first thing we're going to always do is your parentheses. Your second one is going to be your exponents. And remember, your exponents, that's just when you have a number raised up high like that. Okay? And then for steps 3 and 4, it says they should have 2 items in them. So remember, our step 3 is going to be our multiplication and division. And remember, you're always working left to right. You're not doing multiplication first and then division. You're working left to right for those. And then finally, our 4th step, we got our adding and subtracting. And same idea as multiplying and dividing, you're working from left to right. Okay? So we'll do these first 2 problems here together just as some practice. So looking at number 1, we don't have any parentheses, so our next step is going to be exponents, which right here we see we do have. So remember, 2 squared, that's the same thing as doing 2 times 2. That little 2 that's raised up high, that means we have 2 2's, okay? So 2 times 2 is 4. And then you're going to go ahead and bring everything else down. Okay. And then our next step is our multiplication and division. So looking here, we have 4 minus 6 times 4 plus 8 divided by 2. So first thing we see that pops up is multiplication here. And you have to be really careful because this is negative 6, not positive 6. Okay. So negative 6 times 4 is going to give us negative 24. And then 8 divided by 2, we have 2 positive numbers, so that's just going to leave us with 4. And then you want to make sure you bring down that first 4 as well. Okay? So once we have that, now we just have addition and subtraction, so we're going to go ahead and work left to right. So our first thing we're going to do is 4 minus 24. So remember, whenever we have 2 different signs, we're going to go ahead and subtract. So 24 minus 4, we would get 20. So we're going to have a 20 here, but remember, you want to keep the sign of your larger number, which in this case was 24, which does have that negative sign. And then we're going to go ahead and bring down our plus 4. And for our final step, we have negative 20 plus 4. So again, we can do our trick here. 20 minus 4 gives us 16. So we know our answer is going to at least have 16 in it, and then which number was bigger, that's our 20, and 20 does have a negative sign on it, okay? So I do expect to see all of this work shown. I don't want you to just jump to the answer, otherwise I will ask you to resubmit, okay? So obviously no calculator should be being used, and if you do use a calculator, it might not even give you the correct answer because it doesn't have the order of operations built into it, okay? And finally here for number 2, we can see we do have parentheses, so we're going to do negative 3 minus 4. Remember, they both have the same sign, so we're going to add them together. 3 and 4 is 7, and we want to keep the sign. So we have negative 7 squared, and then everything else we're going to go ahead and bring down. Okay, so negative 7 squared, that means negative 7 times negative 7. So we have 2 negatives multiplied to each other, so we're going to get a positive answer. And 7 times 7 is 49. Okay? So again, we're going to bring everything else down here. And now we have our next step is multiplication and division. So let's look where that comes up first. And right here we can see 6 divided by 2. So we're going to bring everything else down first. So our 49, and we will be left with something times 4. And 6 divided by 2 here, we have 2 positives, so we're going to get positive 3. And then our next step we still have our multiplication. Remember, we were working from left to right. So 3 times 4 is 12. And we're going to go ahead and bring down our 49. And then our final answer would be 49 plus 12, which is 61. Okay? So hopefully that gives you a little bit more idea of what we are looking for. So I'm going to have you guys go ahead and do 3 through 6 here on your own. And then you're going to complete, sorry, this is sideways, but you're going to go ahead and complete that maze. You're going to highlight it just like you did for your solving equations ones. But again, I want you to make sure that you're showing all of your work on a separate piece of paper. Do not do it on this maze. Otherwise, I'm going to have you resubmit it because it's going to get too cramped up. Okay? That is all I have for this. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.